Welcome back, welcome back. Thanks for coming to the stream. Yeah, I had to eat. I thought, you know what? It's probably wiser to do that than it is to go to the shop at midnight. But yeah, we're here. I kind of want to do a few different things. I want to build a new layout because you can put the YouTube chat in there. So again, once we get more people and more people are talking, you can see yourself interacting in the chat. It kind of helps with the latency and stuff. But yeah, it's been a good week. We had the boxing watch along stream on the weekend, which was good. It was exhausting because I think I started setting up in the morning. My family was gracious enough to give me the space to do that. And I didn't get off the computer from like 10 in the morning until midnight. And I think there was like 60 different inputs using GT Title Designer to do a lot of that. And I learned a lot. I learned it's hard to talk for like a long amount of time. I don't necessarily think these streams need to be that long. It's not. I've got a strategy that I'm trying to implement that I prefer to be efficient than sit on stream all day, giving people what it is they want to see. And obviously I do want to have this time during the week where we come and chill and we can relax and just, because I'm going to bang on some games soon, some Fortnite, and just chill out and then play some Bloodborne after, because I'm a bit stuck with Bloodborne, but I think we're strong enough. The character, Mr. Selwism, is very strong and she can get to the next spot. I just can't remember what to do, or I can't figure it out, but we've got most of those areas cleared anyway. Yo, Kurlski! Listen, I hope everybody in the chat is good anyway. So yeah, I want to create a new layout, gonna bang some game, gonna talk about the boxing. But the first thing that I want to do, which I've been abandoning for a few weeks now, is talk about hold on, that input's not set up correctly. Should be fine now. Can you hear me? Hey, you can hear me. We're gonna talk about this comic Geiger. So Geiger is part of a larger symphony of books that came out. I'm not really 100% sure of the timeline, but we can look at the timeline, which is in the back of the comic. Or what I could do is we could look at the timeline on the desktop. So let me see if I can get it up. The whole thing is called the Ghost Machine. I've got the image up. Hold on. Hold on. How you doing, bro? How was your dinner? And yeah, so anybody who joined from the stream that was happening before, I had that running on ultra low latency mode because that's what I was using on Saturday, which means that the stream is just hitting quicker so I can react or talk to things, talk to people quicker. But obviously because of how I was watching the boxing, it doesn't line up anyway, but it was good enough, it worked. Go and check that stream out, like it, share it if you need to. Not to worry about those things right now. I want to get a picture up of that timeline. But basically, Geiger is the green man, the glowing man. This is what he looks like. So the issue that we have in the back and on the screen right there is issue number 1. And there was a yellow series that came out. I don't really actually know what it's called. And I did order it to go to Forbidden Planet, but I never ended up going to get it because I'm loyal to a place and space. Guys, I love you guys. You're great. Anyway, so this comic, I don't know if anybody here follows the Fighter Spirit books page, but every day I upload a comic from my collection. And recently I've been uploading a lot of Geiger, a lot of Redcoat. And Geiger and Redcoat are part of the same universe. So Geiger, Redcoat, another person called Junkyard Joe. But where I am at all of the comics, they're kind of chasing each other, but it's like it's not the right time right now. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens when they link up. Let me see if I can sort this out real quick. Hold on. Hey, yeah, I think my whole vMix is set up a bit wrong, so we can go through that soon. We should probably just go through and do that now. But yeah, so I've got my reading list and what I've been going through, because I've got, so you can see my pile of comics here. That is mostly, so that is just Detective Comics, the run that started last year, and The Flash. I'm not enjoying this Flash run. I don't really understand what's happening. I do sort of, because I'm reading it, so I know what the story is, but I don't really get it. What am I supposed to be taking away from this? I think all characters are going through an existential crisis, and that's what we're experiencing when we're watching them through their stories, especially in stuff like superhero stories, because it's all about how this hero handles the weight of being who they are and being special and trying to be a hero. But what I feel like I'm reading is a rewriting of the character. It's like it's literally being undone. And because I'm so new to comics, it's sort of a bit confusing. So what I was reading today, for example, and I know I've kind of gone on a tangent away from where I started, which is Geiger, and we'll get back there, is I was reading Nightwing. The run currently is called Nightwing Fallen Grayson. I'll show you what it looks like. Because I don't want to just be buying all these comics and not reading them just because I want to look at them. So this is Fallen Grayson, issue 1. So I've got all the 5 parts to it here, which I read on the train on the way to and from work. And it's an interesting story, but we're rediscovering who Nightwing is. And it seems like a cool thing to be able to actually learn who these characters are. But who we knew them to be already was kind of cool. And I want to have some new stories that isn't just these constant self-discoveries. It's getting a bit boring. I don't know, that might just be me. That might not even make any sense. You'd have to read it to know what I'm talking about. Basically, it starts off with Dick Grayson not being able to manage heights anymore. And he's been poisoned by somebody called Heartless. And Heartless is the main antagonist of this story. So when Alfred passed away in this multiverse, this is my understanding of it, because I've just started collecting in the past 2 years, so I've joined in at this part of the timeline. In this narrative, Alfred is dead and he has the Pennyworth Foundation, and you find out that he was a millionaire after he died. And we all know who Alfred is, so we don't need to get into that. But Dick Grayson is the guy who's managing the fund, and so now he is in a city called Bloodhaven, and this is his Gotham basically, and he's managing everything. So the story starts off with him being afraid to fall, but he doesn't really know what it is. And then you get to the end of the story, and it's the fact that he felt guilty for making his parents continue to jump, and then they died. But the person who ended up killing his parents was actually aiming for him. I don't really understand why they were aiming for him, but I'm sure that will be cleared up at some point, because the story continues after the 5-parter into another run, which is called Nightwing All In, and I've been seeing everywhere the All In, I don't know what they call it in the comic world. I've seen it when I read it, but I don't really remember what it's called. It's like an initiative, like a new storyline is in a few different places. I see issue 1 of Wonder Woman, because I do enjoy Wonder Woman as a character, and yeah, she has her own series. And the Detective Comics, when it finished, I think it's in issue 1090, something like that, it also goes into Detective Comics All In, I think. Yeah, it does. So when I'm looking forward to catching up on all of these. But all of these stories are like self-discovery stories, which I'm finding a bit. Yeah. But it is a good read. So in Geiger, you are basically with Tariq Geiger, who is the main character, and he's on a hunt. Basically, he's looking for somebody like himself who managed to cure his radiation disease that allows him to become the glowing man, but it's sort of killing him, but it gives him all these cool powers, because they're in a post-war, post-apocalyptic phase of existence. You start off and it says 25 years from now. I might be slow, but I didn't really know what they meant from by saying that. But I assume that's the marker for the week. This links to Redcoat, which is the other person. I think we looked at their comic a few weeks ago. I have it up here anyway, so I can get it out. But he is the start of the story, and he's talking about a war that's coming. So the first run is basically him with Albert Einstein saving America from George Washington. It sounds actually hilarious when you say it out loud, but he's basically saving America from George Washington, who is immortal and wants to destroy America with fire, which is actually hilarious. But it's quite cool at the same time, because it leans into a lot of the Masonic esoteric concepts that exist out there, and then it also implements really interesting ways of like talking about people and their influence and tools that they had. So they have Johnny Appleseed's seeds, and at one point there's a character who has these stored in his house, and they need to escape. The seeds fall over and they flourish into these like humongous magical trees. And they also have like the Axe of Lies, which is George Washington's hatchet. So it's a hatchet, to be correct. But it goes back to a story. I don't remember this part fully correctly, but the hatchet is a gift from his dad, and he went and he cut down a cherry tree, and in doing that, his dad found out I was mad, and he blamed it on the neighbor. The dad did something to the neighbor. He may have killed him or got rid of him, and then gave back the hatchet to George Washington. And now, this is where, if you think about Hunter x Hunter, for example, this is where you start having then imbued into this acts of lies is what it's called, because later on in the story, I don't want to, it's a bit hard because some of you may not read this and it is a part of the story, but the acts of lies is used as something and it's just imbued with magic. But that was the origin of the story, and it's quite cool because you have all of these folk tales about these historical figures like George Washington, Johnny Appleseed. The story actually starts with that guy said the English are coming. Paul Revere and John Hancock start the story. Basically, Paul Revere gets caught by the English, like trying to sort of let them know that the English had invaded, and they start smashing him up. So John Hancock turns up and does the Kagebunshin no Jutsu super technique 45,000 and uses magic to subdue them, and that's your introduction to the world. It's like America is a magical land, and they've obviously gotten some of this information from the Native Americans that were before them, and carryovers from British stuff. And all of that narrative is basically building on George Washington, the immortal King of the Masons type guy, trying to destroy America and the world, essentially. But there's a war that happens in Geiger that sort of he is existing after, that I assume is connected to this story. Let me see if I can get some interesting panels up, because it's a sick story and the art for it is crazy. This is all of the ones that I read last week, and that was in preparation for Comic of the Week, but I've kind of been feeling like I just didn't know what I was talking about well enough, so I've just been putting it off a bit. But the covers for this are amazing. Look at this. Come on. Like, I'm not always a fan of covers and artwork and stuff, but some of them are really good. The artwork for this is just tremendous. So the character's holding up a bookshelf, one of the sort of remnants of the past that he's got a big attachment to, and they're in this wasteland. And obviously the art is, this is a big team project, but it is really good. I can't remember the point. Okay, cool. Red coat. This is Red Coat, Simon Pure. But as you'll begin to learn, he is anything but. And, well, I'm sure we can look when we go into the back of the comic and see the timeline that it's on. Because there's so many of the comics that are part of this universe that I haven't even began to read. So, see down here, this is where Red Coat starts, and all the way down, well, I can't even really show you, maybe I can use the Telestrator to show. Is that any better? Yeah. So yeah, over here we have Red Coat, and this is the story that we're dealing with right now. Junkyard Joe takes place around Vietnam, and then the story, the volume finishes about maybe 60 years after that, maybe it's a bit shorter, and then Geiger happens all the way over here. No clue what this is, or this, or these two, but there's a big world that they're building, and it's a small, well, I say a small team, it's not like the most humongous team in the world, but yeah, it's led by Jeff Johns, which I'm sure a lot of people have heard that name before. Brian Hitch, Andrew Curry, Brad Anderson and Rob Lee. And it's nice being able to see how these guys' brain works, because one thing that I think personally, the stroke of a good story is like a good level of simplicity in getting over what it is you're trying to get over. not making everything so on the nose. That's one thing I kind of really dislike about a lot of things that I read at the moment. And I'm not really even too much of a person who, I'm not even like that pressed. Like I will read anything really if it's kind of like within the, I don't like go through mad reading, don't get me wrong. But I mean, I'm not super critical. Not everything has to be perfect. Most things are possible. But a lot of stuff, it starts to feel these days that it's really on the nose. And it gets a bit, it does get a bit boring. I don't know if anybody else in the chat feels the same way. This is another book that I really want to get through. So I don't know if anybody on the chat has seen the show Free Body Problem, but this is the final book in that series. Sorry, one sec. Oh wait. So dumb. This whole time I'm like, bro, like, why can't I hear the music? Is the music too much? I took it out of my headphones, so I didn't want that audio going there for whatever reason. But I'm gonna put it back in because I want to hear it now. I'll show you what I'm doing, basically. How's my audio sound, by the way? Can you still hear me, yeah? Is my audio all good? Yeah, I think it might be time to get into the guts of some vMix. But yeah, that's what I'm reading at the moment. Geiger's really good. You should go to a place and space. If you want to come with me, let me know and we'll head down there. And yeah, we'll get into some comics, bro, because yeah, that shop is the best shop and there's a lot to catch up on. There were some other comics that came out that kind of started around, I don't want to say started. When I found out about these, there was another comic at the same time called Plot Holes, but I don't think it did too well. Apparently, people didn't like it. I thought it was fine. When something's £4, it's not that deep. Yes, Wayon, respect. How's my audio sound, Wayon? So yeah, let's get into some fixing of this vMix input. I guess I can get rid. I can get rid of my camera. So it's a bit. It makes it a bit hard to see, because when I put it on my other monitor, it just starts moving mad. But how you build layers in vMix is basically like this. You have an input, a blank input, and then you choose your layers. That's going off in the background. Someone spraying me up. Pause. Yeah. And what I can do right now, I can just untick my camera because you'll be able to see me in the shot anyway, and it will just take up screen. I'm gonna turn off that video from because I'm not even gonna play it right now. But yeah, I just kind of want to tidy this up. Am I doing this at the wrong time? Anything you want to do on vMix, Wayon? Because yeah, I don't feel like this is the most tidy right now. I feel like I've been playing around on this so much that I've not done this right. Yeah, so let's say for example, this is the one. There's an image in this, and I didn't change it. What I should have done. Oh, wait, and did you watch the boxing on the weekend? Yo, this is my asset folder. Oh my days. I gotta do a video on what it took to get me all of the assets. I think there was like 65 different inputs on that stream. I didn't really build, I built up my stream deck on a very basic level. It's the small differences that these things make. Yeah, so now when I use that comic of the day input again on all assets, because I'm trying to figure this out as I go. Now it looks a bit better rather than saying insert image here. It's just those small oversights, but these are small things that you can easily fix. Because one thing I realized when I got really like 6 hours into the stream before was that there's a more sleek way to do all of this, like or a more efficient way to do it. And I kind of realized that at the end. I'll show you what I mean. I'll just get the stream up and show you what I kind of like decided to do in the middle and at the end. 6 hours and 55 Ross Clark minutes. We were going ham. Is it blocked? Mad thing. Okay, now because we're. Let's turn that back on real quick. Okay, yeah. So I started off, and so I'm just gonna put it like this so I can see the chat. It started off and it was cool. Main shot like this, no issues. And I Sorry. Think I'm bugging. Anyway, so starts off with the main shot. Each round, I've had it set up so this is a bit of information that I just went on Box Rec, find out what their records are, where they're fighting out of, and used the integrated GT title designer designs to basically make everything happen. And when you go into GT title designer, you can you can add layers and take layers off, which is what I ended up doing. I can show you what it looks like. So these are presets, and basically it has all of the layers like that. And then I've just made taken these images, turned them into PNGs, and then added them. And then after choosing the different effects on top of sort of trying to match what the preset was, because if I change it too much, let's say for example, I change his one to that, like it kind of doesn't fit. But I sort of ended up making one for each fight, which is fine because that worked in the end. And then what I also had is when somebody won the fight, and he be getting sprayed up in when somebody won the fight, basically I would just change the text and I would hide everything that was on the other side in that group. And so that was quite easy. But I was trying to figure out, this not something that I actually know at the moment, how you would make it in such a way, and maybe it's a script that you would have to write and execute, that would, when you press a button on the stream deck, turn off layer A, turn on layer B, and then sort of add and change the text that way. But another issue that I came across was I'm watching the fight and it's not live, but when I want to start the round, I'm gonna wait to hear the bell in the ring, and it did sync up quite well, and it worked quite a bit. But I now need a button to use to start that round, and what would probably be even better than doing that is setting a button so that when I press go for the round, it goes 3 minutes, 1 minute, 3 minutes, unless there's something that's stoppage time, which I'm sure you can add. But these are things that I've realized that I would like to have for one when I do it again. I don't know when I'll do one again. Maybe I would just do it for a single fight, not a whole card. This card was just exceptionally good. I don't know if any of you guys watched that, but let's go further down because I literally made them for all of the fighters, but then it ended up like this. This is halfway through, 3 hours and 27 minutes, because I made this input as well, and because the fight, I think it was the Hamza Shiraz fight. I wasn't really Carlos Adames versus Hamza Shiraz. I wasn't personally too invested in that fight. I didn't care too much. I expected it to go one way. It was interesting that it kind of ended up being a draw, whereas I thought Hamza Shiraz should have just lost because he just didn't do enough. But the expectation from the British public was on him super high, which I understand. But I don't watch boxing for that side of it. I don't actually care. I just want to see a winner out of the two, and it felt like there was a winner. But anyway, I wasn't too invested, so I wasn't making that one full screen. But I also regret this clunky, sort of weird setup anyway. A lot of wasted space on the side. It might be good if I was to sort of 916 crop it for socials. It would work for that, but it's kind of pointless. We'll see in it. I may do that. I've got a bit more time on my hands from next week, So I may see and go back through it and see if there's any clips that are worth garnering from it. But in the end, what I did was something that was a bit more like this, which I think is much more appropriate for the type of stream, because I can keep the round up there. We can see the chat. I need to figure out the chat function a bit better as well, because it inputs it at a window width size, and if you do it on something like OBS, you can scale that more freely. So that's another thing that I would sort of like. There's so much wasted space on that right hand side that I did try to crop out by changing the. I'll show you what I'm talking about. If you create a browser input, hold on, I'm gonna get one up. I can't even have it on that screen. It doesn't even, it just squashes it down, even though that monitor is bigger than my screen. It just squashes it down for some reason. Web browser. So as you can see, you can change these values here. So if I swap those around, rather than it being rectangular, it would still be a rectangle, but it would just be the other way around. It'll be long upwards vertically as opposed to horizontally, but that just crops it as opposed to making it adjustable. I mean, that might just be one of the drawbacks of using vMix, but especially if I want to be doing something at the same time, like with boxing, you might want to be full attention, but if you're not too invested or there's some other things you want to show, I want to work out my setup so it's a bit more efficient for everything going on and make the graphics that we're seeing on the screen a bit more interesting, because those are just the stock ones and they work well because they actually transition in as well. I'll see if we can find a place where it plays out. Let me know if I'm boring you. I'll go deeper. Oh, there we go. So it does have a little motion to it. Nothing too interesting. But those are the things that I'd like to improve on. The Beterbiev Bivol fight was good. That was definitely a banger. I think it went the way it should have gone. I think it should have gone that way the first time. But I also think if you gave it to Beterbiev, I wouldn't be mad either, because that guy is a monster. I don't think you're gonna get anything more, like less than 12 rounds each from these men. I'll be 100%, because they're just too good. Like, I think now with Bivol's performance, he literally edged him. He edged him out. Like, he did more. Bivol's good. He's strong. Like my boy, he thinks that Beterbiev won. And I just don't even understand what he was seeing, but it is that way. These men are that good that every time they fight, it's gonna be to the wire. I don't think it's like Usyk. You can say, yeah, these men are stronger than him and they've got better knockout power, but if you're not hitting him, what does that mean? Yeah, Bivol might be able to knock out 98% of people on earth, But if he's not hitting you like that, it don't matter. And that's not to say that he's not catching him, but he's not catching him. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense? Am I being generous? Maybe, again, they're both good boxers. I think maybe in terms of a style or style preference, I like Bivol. I like that Soviet style of boxing. It's mad fluid. They don't stop moving, jumping about. I do enjoy that quite a bit. No, I can't do any of it. Nothing. But I do enjoy it. And I think it was a brilliant fight still. Like, that wasn't really the fight of the night for me, if I'm honest. It was a great fight. I think by that time, the reason why it wasn't is because I was tired. I was literally sitting at the computer from, like I said, the morning. So it was one of those things where I was tired of seeing people fight. I think that's why now, when it comes to UFC even, I just go sleep, bro. I literally just go sleep and see what happens in the morning. Nothing is too exciting anymore with UFC, in my opinion. I want to see certain fights in it, but yeah, by that time I was out of it. But the fights that really banged for me is obviously the Callum Smith Joshua Buatsi fight, and then on top of that, the Shakur Stevenson Joshua Hadley fight. So firstly, I called it. I didn't, again, I think Joshua Buatsi is a great fighter, but when you look at things, if you think about it in terms of a map, you can simplify this a great deal, innit? So think of a map of the world. You have the UK, and then you have it's the map of the world. So you have the map of the world as it is. There are certain people that are UK level, and there are certain people that are US level. US level, I would say, is a bit more electric, but I also include in the US circuit South America as well. I would lump them together just for this argument, because, well, no, we could leave it separate, but for this argument we're just gonna lump them all together. Their competition level is a bit higher, and the boxing level is a bit higher over there, as much as we have amazing boxers and have had amazing boxers from the dawn of time. Right now, a lot of the people in his division from the UK are UK level, in my opinion. As good as they are, this is my view as a layman boxer, or layman boxing viewer even. And what he did show is that he can get to the next level. But I'm looking at this from some ridiculous fantasy headcanon understanding of this, innit? Callum Smith's 2 losses came from Beterbiev and Canelo, the best boxers on in the world level. Joshua Buatsi has only had sort of UK level fights. Callum Smith is his experience in, if we were to put it in One Piece terms, of what's on the other side of the Grand Line, the New World. That's where the real peak beasts are, innit? And we've seen people that, Callum Smith's resume is cold, but the fact that the 2 people that he lost to are that high level shows that it was a step up for Buatsi, innit? In terms of he's gonna have to do a lot, because out of all of the people, it's only the best of the best that were able to get this guy out, innit? And they both come from amazing boxing stock. They both have amazing stories. They're both amazing boxers. But from a narrative, like I said, entertainment, fantasy perspective, Callum Smith was his eye hole into the next level and what the competition is really going to be like. And they both showed that, and it was a close fight, but a lot of the time I was watching that, I was really feeling like Buatsi's brain was ticking over, but he couldn't figure out how to do it. Whereas Callum Smith was quite relaxed and knew what he had to do, and just was kind of doing it and taking what Buatsi was given. Maybe that's just how he fights, because again, this is I'm only really getting immersed and understanding this stuff now. Like, I was more sort of like casual to it. I'm still casual now, but I'm trying to become sort of more respectful of the sport and understanding what's going on. But so yeah, he may be like that, and that'll be something that I can probably confirm with further research at some point. But it was a big test. It was a big test for Buatsi, and he did well, man. Like, his man went to the end, innit? Like, you lot have gone all the way to the end. He's not finishing. He didn't finish you, but he pushed you to a different place. And this is obviously going to be good for Buatsi as well, because now he knows what he has to do. Whether they rematch, I don't know if that even matters. Too tough. I don't know what you think. I don't know if you want to share your thoughts on Beterbiev and Bivol. What did you think happened? But yeah, it was a banging fight. Joshua Buatsi's chin is crazy, because he was taking a couple hits. So was Callum Smith, to be fair. I would say Buatsi is a sharper boxer, but it's just that different, a slightly like higher level. But it's kind of just like Anthony Yard lost to Beterbiev. But what he showed in that fight is that he has it. He has what it takes to get through to the next level. Whether he does or not, I don't know. But these men are just in harder divisions than people like heavyweights. We can see all the heavyweights fight and what they're doing, and they can just come in and out like it's nothing. Obviously, and there was obviously a lot of fights that we wanted to see that we haven't seen, but it isn't as stacked. I think it would be hard to argue that the heavyweight division is as stacked as that division. I don't know. Let me know what you think. We just had some interesting boxing news. Well, it's not boxing news. It just happened today. It's not really news. Like, Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr. had their press conference today for their fight. Well, had a press conference. I think there's another one on Friday, because they're fighting in April 26th in Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And Chris Eubank Jr. slapped him in the face with an egg, and obviously the egg goes back to the allegations of PED use, getting it through the eggs, etc., etc. But now it kind of just turns up the ante for that fight, which is going to be mad interesting. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing that now. I mean, I was looking forward to seeing it before, but now there's going to be a bit more venom in it. And I guess for a fight, that's always a good thing. It's not always necessary. People like Beterbiev and Bivol kind of show you that these men just want to fight and be robots. And just, yeah, they seem to emote differently about this. But because obviously you've got the legacy between the fathers and the whole sort of story to it, it's great. But yeah, Chris Eubank Jr. now pushed him over the line. But we'll see, man. Like, some people, after getting slapped in the face, they may not just call the fight off. But you never know what might happen in the next 24 hours or 48 hours, because that happened within the last 3-4 hours. I was literally like watching it live pretty much before this. Just trying to catch up on a bit of news. And yeah, and seeing that, because I'm definitely going to watch that fight as well. Maybe just do a short watch along just for that, because I don't know what else is on the card. Let me see what else is on the card for that one. Okay, on the undercard. Okay, should be a good fight. On the undercard, Anthony Yard taking on Lyndon Arthur. Liam Smith versus Aaron McKenna, which is going to be a banger. Chris Billiam Smith versus Brandon Glanton. I don't know who Brandon Glanton is. And Vidal Riley versus Siobhan Clark. Okay. Siobhan Clark. Oh, wait, do you know what? I feel like I saw them two have a back and forth somewhere. Oh no, that was with Isaac Chamberlain. But that fight fell through. It's a shame when that fights fall through, man. Because sometimes you really want to see them. Like obviously everybody wanted to see Dubois versus Parker. I thought Parker was going to win. Parker's just one of those athletic, big, beastly man. And he just comes from that type of stock that, yeah, we might have seen him lose before. People lose fights in it, but I don't see him losing to Daniel Dubois. I don't see that happening. As good as Daniel Dubois is, this is like a new version of Daniel Dubois. I just don't see it. He's going to get moved up on. He might be able to throw it, but he's going to get moved out the way we've seen Joseph Parker get banged and get straight back up. Multiple times. And I'm referring to the Jay Li Zhang fight. And then, obviously, you saw what happened with the Martin Bacoli on short notice. That was what it was. I don't really hold that against anybody. The guy made like $500,000, something like that. Good for him. The fight that got cancelled was the Shakur Stevenson-Floyd Schofield fight, which is what I really wanted to see. That was one of the things on the card that I was like, right, that's very surprising that it's on Riyadh season. But it seems like a really amazing boxing pick, like for somebody to choose. Because I'm not really a Shakur Stevenson hater. I probably was in the past, but sometimes I just say stuff because I'm a human and sometimes we just say stuff because we do, innit? Just want to bandwagon and be on the banner. But Shakur Stevens is an amazing boxer. That Josh Padley guy has amazing grit. He has that heart of the cards, I'm not gonna give up type shit. Like, so ratings to his corner for doing what they done. Because I don't think that old guy is gonna stop getting up. He's gonna be like one of them old school boxers from back in the day that is like, yeah, you might be able to outbox me, but I'm gonna go 105 rounds. We're gonna fight, and then when I've decided in my brain that cool, I may not be able to beat you, but I've had enough, then yeah, that's when the fight's gonna end. That's the type of energy that guy gives me. And yeah, everybody's talking about, yeah, oh well, you fought an electrician. Boss man, you don't know anything about boxing. Not all of these guys are out here making millions, you know. They actually have normal jobs and are normal people. But there's normal dons out here that can scrap really well, and I would give anybody my last tenner if they could walk up to Josh Padley on the street and last a minute with him. Like, honestly, bruv, that guy, he got some serious ratings. And that doesn't even diminish Shakur Stevenson, because Shakur Stevenson beat him up. Like, he really did, bro. But he's just not got the hand strength, because obviously he's got his hand injury. And yeah, I mean, I'll just put it down to that, innit, to try and be gracious to him, because he just showed that he's an amazing boxer. He's got the snap, he's got the movement, he's got all of that. But I think even there was a point in the fight where he's looking at his corner like, boss man, like, what's wrong with this guy? Like, he's not getting up. I mean, he's not stopping, sorry. So, yeah. was a good night for boxing. It definitely was, man. That Turkey dude is doing a lot, and it's mad. I proper rate it. Because now you're really seeing like who's the cream of the crop. Whereas before there's gatekeeping, there's planning. Like this guy, I'll just pay everyone, innit? I got no money, we'll just pay everyone. Like, rather than trying to do too hard negotiation for this and that. Yeah, man, I get it, that there's politics to everything. There's people wanting to make money and not lose money, all of that stuff, innit? But sometimes just fight, innit? I don't even think I watched that, you know. I wanted to talk about that at the beginning of the year from like a streaming perspective. But like doing a bit of research into it, I realized I don't really know anything about that side of streaming. Like how they manage, like how did they? What was the workflow that they decided to use to do that? That's the bit I don't know. Because some people are having it great and some people are having it really bad. It was doing really bad for a lot of people, but I've heard for some people it was perfectly fine. And I'm assuming they use something, and again, it's probably just a Google away. I think I did Google it at the time, but it was such dense like reading that I didn't retain much of it. But I assume they use something like AWS and like some superstructure like that to scale it and use different edge locations so that depending on what region that you're in is pulling from that space. But the issue is that works all right if you're pulling like something that isn't live. You might be watching something live, like, if that makes sense. Okay, the sound kept dropping out. The sound kept dropping out today in the Sky Sports presser for Eubank, and maybe they did that on purpose because somebody said something, they wanted to preempt it. I don't know if they add like a little delay onto it to make sure that if anybody does say anything. But I mean, then they probably would. I don't think they do, because no, I actually worked on some of these things myself and they don't do that. This was for William Hill a few years ago for the Jake Paul. There was a Jake Paul one, Jake Paul KSI maybe, or Logan Paul. It was one of those ones, and there was a Usyk one that I did for William Hill. Usyk versus Tony Bellew. I worked on that one. I don't remember us using any delay for that. But yeah, this is another thing. The way a lot of these, again, the way that those systems work is completely different. And again, the way it works is you shouldn't have to refresh. It should just reconnect. I think refreshing is sending a new request. So I think if a lot of people are doing that, trying to constantly refresh, creating new requests for that information, that might even cause an issue. That's something that I wanna figure out as well, because this is where it's sort of like you go into the grand macro scale of streaming and creating efficiencies for things. But you kind of gotta have an insight to that world. But it works quite like slightly different. Let me see what ChatGPT says they did. Because this information is at our fingertips. Hey everybody, if you've just joined the chat, please like and subscribe. That's crazy. Okay, cool. So what it says is Netflix live streaming of the Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson fight on November 15, 2024 marked its inaugural venture into live sports broadcasting. The event attracted a peak of 65 million concurrent streams worldwide. Despite the high viewership, the broadcast faced technical challenges, including buffering and connectivity issues. While specific technical details on Netflix live streaming workflow for this event are not publicly disclosed, the general workflow for live streaming such an event typically includes the following: content acquisition, signal transmission, live production, encoding, content delivery, network, playback, usage drive. So that doesn't answer our question. So what we can ask it is, what CDN does Netflix use? Netflix Open Connect CDN. It has its own proprietary CDN, and I assume because they obviously, like it says, it's the inaugural into sports broadcasting, and the load that's being asked for on that is crazy. That's probably why they screwed up. Because, well, it's hard to know. I mean, I've been in the room when these things are happening myself on a slightly lower scale. But yeah, it's not straightforward. I'd love to have known, like, actually. Okay, cool. Interesting. Welcome. It says, did Netflix, this is a question that the chat's asked itself. Did Netflix use Open Connect for live streaming? Question. Since Open Connect was initially designed for on-demand streaming, Netflix likely integrated third-party CDNs such as AWS CloudFront, Akamai, or Fastly to assist with the real-time live streaming of Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson fight. Live streaming presents unique challenges compared to on-demand, such as lower latency and real-time scaling, which Open Connect was not originally built for. I assume a lot of people bought Netflix just for that. And if that caused an issue in scale, this is probably why, because it was probably scaling up, but the rate that it's having to scale is what's causing issues across the board. Does that sound logical? Because the issue, like, when you're working on live as opposed to on demand, you can have information stored in these different edge locations that people pull from. Whereas because the boxing fight is happening on location, you have to get it to those locations first rather than having the information there. So Netflix might have copies of the same servers in different locations with, I assume they do, because it's different in different regions. And we're basically pulling from that, creating connections based on other people in the area watching it as well. But let's use the Telestrator to try and illustrate this. Hold on. Let's do it up here. So that will be you can't even see that. Okay, cool. You can see that now. So let's say this is the boxing match that's happening, and this is the studio that we're in, streaming it. If our edge locations are here, here, and here, if I'm doing it on demand, like I said, I can have a group of information here, group of information here, group of information here, and people local to these areas, like let's say that's Asia, for example, they're just gonna pull from that lot of information. And if this was like the US, for example, which it was, it would be great for people in the US, but we just got to get from here, which is the live stream part, to whatever CDN they're using, which is then going to send the information over here. So it's already 3 steps, whereas in the first one, you've only got the step between the information and the user. I'm going to buy a graphics pad so my drawing doesn't look as trash, but I hope that makes some semblance of sense. So this is the region Asia, this is the information, and then this bit here is the user pulling that information. Because we're creating such distances between them, and then again this event is happening live, so you want lower latency times, you want people to be seeing it live, especially so that people who have seen it there can't spoil it. Yes, no stress. Thank you, Shobs. You're welcome. See if I wonder if what I'm saying makes any sense. It is quite sloppy. It looks like I've drawn a shower on top of my head. Yeah, I hope that makes some form of sense. Oh, obviously, we're just thinking anyway, because I don't know. That was the sort of whole point of the question. I'm in a game now, actually. Been carried away. We've just been talking this whole time. Look at us. Nah, we're gonna get that music back. But yeah, I'm gonna do some research, and maybe we'll pick up this subject again next week, because it is super interesting. It really is. Because I want them to do it again. I'd love to work at somewhere like Netflix or just on their streaming team, sort of being involved in those types of things. Like working at Meta before, it was a great opportunity, and I did learn a lot in those 2 years. That's helped me in my career now up to this point, even though I don't know what the hell I'm doing. But working on those types of events, because yeah, like I can imagine it must have felt really shit for that team that was working on the streaming. I can imagine it felt very bad. But at the same time, bro, like you learned, like a lot of these technologies are mad new. So like I ain't mad. I'm definitely not mad at them. Like, they did an amazing job for like how difficult a task that would be. 65 million people you're talking about scaling up to, and the price of that as well. So there's a lot on these guys' heads. So I give them all the ratings that they deserve, man. 65 million people that you're delivering to, plus the people in the building, plus trying to build content for packages on top of that, whilst this is looking at some of the best content because it is on the biggest scale in the world. I remember working on a job, and there was a company that we used that was, I assume, for sort of digital rights management, DRM stuff. So making sure that we could protect what we were using and use it for small scale events and stuff like that. But there was an event that somebody wanted to do in the APAC region, and the ask was that about 200,000 people were going to show up to the event online. And we take for granted the fact that we can see a video on YouTube and 5 million people have watched that video, but what they're doing is watching a file. So it kind of works slightly differently. And again, that's me being super obtuse about the subject because I actually don't know the super mechanics or like the real mechanics of it. But when we upload a video, you're watching a file. When you're watching a live stream, you're watching data and information come in continuously at like super fast rates. So when you add a user, you need to expand the bandwidth so that none of the image that the user's receiving is being affected. So think of, I think it was the Beanie Man. There was a show that happened in Jamaica the other day, and they were having a lot of issues with buffering. And I think it was on YouTube, so maybe there shouldn't have been an issue. But when you're getting a lot of people coming in to an issue, if you haven't accounted for that and made sure that you have enough space, enough servers spinning up to be able to sort of repeat that information to all the people that you're trying to stream to, you're gonna run into some serious issues. And again, I don't know any of this for a fact. I'm using this based on sort of intuition and what I know about live streaming so far. But I don't know anything for a fact. But I think there's somebody on the roof for a fact. Really? Run away. I shall show no mercy for the weak. Let me know if I'm not making any sense. Is Brad with you? Hey, what did I just do, young man? But as we grow, we'll figure these things out. And I'm just going to share with you what I know and understand of them anyway. Because it's what I enjoy. I'd love to work on one of those types of teams. Grenade launcher. I do want to be the very best at this that I can be. Sometimes I was reading a bit of information earlier. I actually need to pull it up actually. And it's super dense. Oh my days. I'll read to you what I was reading up earlier. Just so you can get a glimpse of what I'm talking about. Software-defined video networking. Launched in 2014, Everett software-defined video networking SDVN solutions has been leading the industry's transition to IP using SMPTE ST2100 and ANWA NMOS with over 600 installations. This is just, yeah. I'll show you the image of what I was reading. Even better. So this is what we're trying to make sense of. This is really what live streaming is. All of this image here is what we deal with in our brains. Again, those guys are working at the highest level. Like, oh my, the car. This car right here. But yeah, that actually is what live streaming really is. And it's very stressful. But I'm gonna eventually get my mind around it. I don't want to kill him, but because he needs to be weaker as well. Because there's no point leaving one of them strong, and if he kills him now, no, I don't think he will. I can get him. I got you. I still need that car though. Do I? Hey, thanks guys for coming as well. I was actually streaming, well I wasn't streaming, I recorded some stuff a little bit earlier with one of my boys. But from next week, I am a full-time freelancer again. So I'm gonna have much more time and hopefully I can increase not only the quality of my content, but the consistency of said content. And I just want to improve in so many different areas. Because Lord knows I need it. I'll probably also stream again tomorrow. Even if just for a little while. I finish a bit earlier tomorrow. I finish at 1. Get in top 10 again. I don't think this is a direction of the map that I usually come from in this game. I feel like I'm getting a cold right now. One of the things I like about live a lot is, again, I've not really worked on things that happen this way. It's more the idea of it that I like, I think, is how well you have to orchestrate to really make things bang. It's probably a stupid idea. Whatever. Come on, bro. I need more bullets. Do you think if I go and close the doors, people will think nobody's come in here yet? No, there's already been people. Sniper rifle, the best gun in every game, even though I'm so bad at using it in this game. We'll take one anyway. it's already shiny. Crazy. I don't, you know. I'm not good with that type of stuff. I'm not a very visual guy, man. Can you not see my graphics and stuff? Like, why not just... Not good, bro. Because I know you've been using it, haven't you? I've seen a few people use it and integrate it with live streams though. Like, well, I mean, very, very loosely, I will say that. I was introduced to a few people in a place in Croydon that they've got like a bunch of like a really amazing equipment. And yeah. They were using, I think, Unity engine. Ooh, I see someone. I'll mash up their whip so they can't leave. Push it up the road a bit. I'm not even watching my bullets. Alright, blew up. Amazing. Just gave away my signal for no reason. Brother, let me kiss his finger. Closing in on us. Actually, give me a rest. Because I'm on P4, yeah. When you zoom in, these graphics are very, very unrendered. Sneaky hobbit. Sneaky hobbitses. How you been, no way, man? How have you been, bro? What's been going on, man? I wish we had some stuff that we could work together on. Yeah. The guy thought I was about to just let him kill me. It would be good to have some high ground, but there isn't much. I see a sneaking hiding place. It's really tense around these numbers. I can't even hear any shooting either. No one's died for a minute. Let me see where this takes me. Oh no way. Hey, if I win, the stream's finished. You know, I'm going to bed happy. Further, bro. How am I running that? Oh. You need to press each other, man. Where are these people, man? Just me and someone. Just me in there, man. See them. Oh, it's that guy that I sniped from earlier. Well done, you nearly made it. I see him when I first saw him. He's doing the dogs. Alright, one more game, then we'll cut the stream. I gotta be up quite early tomorrow. And we're gonna come back on tomorrow. Let me just go kitchen quick. Man, think about it. I mean, it may not be the same guy. I could have been the same guy that we tried to hit with a sniper rifle earlier. It's been a good stream though. It has been a long day. I know you guys have had a long day as well. Because we all have the same day and we're blessed to have it. So yeah, again, thank you for coming to spend your time. Be here. I do really appreciate it. Alright, that was not worth it. One of my toxic traits is having 900 mobile numbers. How do you let me change to 3 different guns? Hey, my bullets them be missing, man. Bro, I couldn't give you a masterclass, but I can definitely tell you everything I know, that's for sure. I'm still learning a lot of vMix myself, but I've learned a lot recently. I think there's some things that just, oops. I mean, they don't really just suit my temperament in the terms of how long they take to do. So I'm learning to be more patient. If you are still in the chat. Yes, Krowski. Let's see, are they just on the other side of the mountain? Can I slide down and hit them with the Geronimo? Because I can hear the gunshots. Oh yeah, no wait, yeah, because the bottom of the tunnel's down there. You men are still alive. If that were me, one of us would have been dead by now. Oh shit, might be me. I said an assist and you had 5 minutes to do that. Next one's your shield, mate. Don't make me come down there, sir. Yeah, you're pinned, you know. You're actually pinned. He's a shookhead still. Cause I was about to spray him tools Krowski. And you left me the mega gun. Better run. Bart, you're gonna have to come out into the open, Sonny. Shooting hella wild. I actually don't have enough bullets to be playing the way I'm playing. Is that a tunnel? A tunnel. I'm so near nobody. Doomstart has appeared in the sky. I thought I was gonna get her, to be honest. You seeing this? It's actually going through them, man. Or am I bugging? And we just saw a laser come out of that building, right? These guys are up on that mountain fighting demigods. There's someone on the back. I ain't got no bullets. Damn, boy. Well, it looks like that's it. Again, thank you for joining. We'll be back on tomorrow, so keep it short and sweet. I don't have to ham this part up too much. Appreciate you guys loads. Remember to like and subscribe. If you did enjoy anything we spoke about today, let me know. We'll be including it more because it's just going to be what we enjoy. Boxing, talking streaming, talking gaming, and just other interesting stuff that comes up. So I may put up some clips, but I'm not too stressing about that too much right now. But yeah, catch you again tomorrow. I'm really looking forward to it. And if you do need me for anything, you know where the DMs are at. So peace out.